Hello, everyone. Welcome to another brand new edition of the Fans of Power podcast, the only source where you can get the most in-depth discussion on damn near everything, as long as it doesn't suck podcast. And I'm Tyler Baker, and of course, with me as always is the rest of the Three Stooges here: the Rotten Amato, Joe Amato, and Nasty Nate Kennedy.
Hello.
Gentlemen, are we doing all right this week? We're not suffering from any kind of technical difficulties. You know, we need to have an image that pops up of like someone drunk, you know, like they have on The Simpsons or The Critic, you know, when we're having technical difficulties or something like that.
I mean,
you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, I know that picture.
Okay.
I know the yeah. He's wearing a hat. Doesn't it show like the equipment in the background? He's looking all
he's got a ball in his hand, or we'll be right bark or something like that. You know, with the dog.
But
or something like
it is hot as balls for me. That's why I got vitamin water this week. At least it'll energize me.
Supporting Coke there. Way to go there.
See, look at that. I upgraded. See, once in a while I can afford some of the...
Yeah, I am too. I got Dasani water here, people. This podcast is no way sponsored by Coke, but it would be nice if Coke would send me like an extra paycheck for, like, you know, advertising on this podcast here.
And as always, unless the show is on a weekday during the middle of the day, I have New Amsterdam vodka and Coca-Cola. So, sponsored by Coke. Not a sponsor.
How about that, people?
Not a sponsor.
Drink Coke. Hell with Pepsi.
Is vitamin water by Coke too? Is that really?
Yeah, it's a Coke product, that we sell, yeah.
Never knew. All right, didn't know that. This is the only other thing I drink besides water. I drink vitamin water. That's it. And it ain't because I know some people say, you're not really probably getting vitamins. And I was like, I don't care. I like the taste of it. That's why I get it. So
yeah, it's not really something. Like if people think that that's their healthy solution, it's like, nah, not really.
Yeah, well, it's like the same people that are like, I'm gonna get 2 Big Macs and 3 fries, but I have a Diet Coke. So
Diet Coke.
That saves it. No, but, well, like I said, we have a couple topics this week. I mean, of course, our random stuff, but I wanted in particular, before I get to the chat room, I just wanted to dedicate this episode to Tyler's unreleased Clamp Champ versus Ninjor mini-comic, which, besides those pictures that he shared, I mean, I know nothing about the story. Even if he was going to tell me, hey, Joe, would you like to know? He already knows. I'm going to say I wouldn't want to, because I like being surprised and just enjoying it. So when we get to that part and he talks, I'm just going to be sucking it in, because just like when James would talk or anybody, I like envisioning everything along with the pictures. So I might be real quiet when you're talking about the story, Tyler, just out of excitement, because I like new shit. So it'll be fun when we get to that.
Well, I'll be picking your all's brain about it, too, because I want an honest opinion from you guys. So if you guys think it's dog shit, then I encourage you to tell me so.
I love it. That's what I mean. Yeah, pick away when we get to it. I'll quickly say hello to everybody in the chat room, and then some random stuff before we get to the main topic. JSP, Adam Gabbard, Spider Rat, Zen Brown, Darth Baka, Grimbot, Sportimus, and I think I ran everybody very quickly. So thank you all for joining us. As for any topical stuff, the only thing I've seen for those who are in the hunt for them, because they've gone quick, is the Prince Adam Sky Sled Origins 2-pack, gift set 2-pack, whatever you want to call it, has popped up on the Walmart's website, but it's like limited, because they're going to be at the stores, don't worry, but they're just doing the slow feeding, and at the price of $29.84, hell, you can't beat it. I love just seeing, for my personal sake or taste, I love seeing it saying Sky Sled again instead of the damn Jet Sled, because we know with the issues of not being able to have the rights to say Sky Sled, in classics they called it Jet Sled, and I was like, I want to see Sky Sled. So it's back to saying actually Sky Sled. So maybe here's hoping that when we get to Ninjor, he won't be Ninja Warrior, he'll be Ninjor. You know, just like this damn mini comic we'll get to. But and if, like I said, what me and Tyler always said, Masters is known for the hyphen. If you want to do NIN hyphen Jor, whatever, either way, be Ninjor and not Ninja Warrior. I hate that fucking name.
Or Battle Fist instead of Fisto.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
yeah.
That's probably the biggest offender.
I was going to say, and going with that, also being released this week should be hitting stores, or as I like to call it, the eBay exclusive Raph and Casey Jones 2-pack, because I know that's probably going to be a huge pain in the ass for people to find, too, because all the turtleneck stuff that goes to Target and now Walmart has always been hard to find. I wish that they could have just done what they did with GameStop. Make it pre-order. That way you don't have to worry about it. You know you're getting it down the road, but now it's just like they put a link on Walmart's website and that's sold out quick, and then people are like, I can't find it, and they're like, oh, it's on there. You just got to keep whatever, and it's the same thing that keeps happening and keeps happening.
Yeah, it's sold. I think it was up maybe 15 minutes, and I was going to do it while I was on vacation, and son of a bitch, the thing was sold out already.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, now
that was it.
We'll have to go try to find them in store. So best of luck to everybody.
Wonderful!
Yeah.
What a treat that's going to be.
Yeah.
Are those the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, or is that something else you're talking about? Okay.
No, the NEC is moving all their turtle stuff to retail now. It's instead of
okay.
Yeah. Also, the movie stuff like Toko Razor,
Super Shredder,
the case Super Shredder, all that's coming to Walmart, and it's already off to a shitty start.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I thought I read somewhere about a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that'll be sold at GameStop or available there for something pertaining to the Ninja Turtles. Or am I wrong? Or
it was.
I figured if anybody...
the movie figures were originally convention exclusive, and then they sold them a year later on GameStop's website, and they had them in store, and also later on did the Foot Soldier, Splinter, and Shredder. But those people that went to the convention and got that 4-pack of Turtles were really pissed when they were going to get released individually at GameStop. But I don't know. That's kind of a whole other topic. It's kind of a shitty thing with adult collecting and scalpers and having to go to eBay to buy everything, which sucks.
Yeah, which I kind of worries me because I keep getting screwed over on NECA's turtle stuff that's sold in Target. So I'm like, great. I'm like, what the hell am I going to get that Casey Raft 2-pack?
Yeah.
They still pop up on occasion, or are they pretty much done? They go through all their stock.
I think they pop up on occasion, like the Bebop and Rocksteady from the animated series that has been showing up in Target. I think they kept putting stock on the website over time, but it's not a thing. It wasn't ever a thing where they would alert and be like, "Hey, it's there." It's just either someone randomly found it and posted it somewhere. It's like, "Hey, go while you can to get them." It sucks.
Oh, okay.
So it makes me think it's like, hey, you remember how great it was when we were kids? And even though we didn't know that the stock was plentiful, we'd go to the store. We most of the time could find who we wanted, or eventually would find who we want. Now it's just a race against the clock. Like, did another collector beat me here to get this? Is there a scalper? I know there's a guy that lives in Tyler and I's area that has a YouTube channel, and he's gone, and I've seen him go a couple of times and get those Ghostbusters that got released in Walmart. So I'm just like, great, well, there's another person I have.
I kept wondering why I haven't seen any of those in any Walmart that I've been in.
So I know that guy's a collector, but I know scalpers are probably going in there too. It sucks.
Oh, well. Because I think when we were kids, hell, it was just us enjoying the toys. It's like the scalpers weren't as hot and nuts as they are now. It's like now they go to get it, and we still can't. And kids, if they even wanted, they don't have a snowball's chance.
I'm just curious how these guys have all the time in the world to just devote their days to just going to every retail outlet and not work a regular job.
Well, it's like that.
But that is their job.
Well, yeah. It's that what's his face? That one asshole that showed us the picture. He wrestled with Matt Hardy.
Justin.
Yeah, there you go. That guy. That piece of shit.
I ran into somebody. I forgot who. I was talking to a vendor when I was working at one of the grocery stores recently, and he went down there to buy something from this same guy and had the exact same opinion. Everybody we have ran into that's dealt with Justin, he had the exact same opinion about the guy.
That guy sucks.
The guy's an asshole, weird. It doesn't want to sell anything.
Yeah, don't want you to touch anything either.
Yeah,
don't touch. Well, I'm like, don't have these elaborate displays. Like, if everything in there's for sale and you display it as such, like, yeah, someone's probably gonna pick it up. Especially kids. Come on. Like, put it behind a counter or put it in a case or something. Like, I hate that guy. His prices suck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Have a whole podcast for him. But no, we'll get into this, and Tyler's going to lead the way, and we'll want to sit back and enjoy this. Of course, we'll have some back and forth questions. He's going to, like he said, pick our brains. But Tyler, you did the Clamp Champ versus Ninjor mini comic, and is it possible it still could happen? Hopefully, maybe get released? Or...
No. It ain't happening. No, this was written probably at this point 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
and the layouts
all the watermarks on here say 2018 when the art was gradually getting produced. So it's been a hot minute. But
yeah, it's I just don't see it happening at this rate. I mean, it's like WWF never say never, but I'm like, I seriously doubt it. It was along with a few others that were teased. Like the first Leech mini comic, Carson threw in a teaser for the idea was to do a prequel to the live action movie and tell 3 different stories that lead up to the film, as if like in if they came out with the toys in '87, hey, if you bought Blade, you see this story. Okay, if you want to find out what happens next, go see the live action movie. So I was going to tell 3 stories with that, along with the Clamp Champ Ninjor comic, and I just the creative juices were just flowing so much better with this one. So I just stuck with it and finished it quickly. And Carson started knocking out layouts pretty quickly after that, but they were like a few and far between. Some would show up here and there. He would go back and change stuff, but he pretty much what we're showing here is what it's exactly how I wrote it. Like the action sequences, the way the panels are set up. That's how I wrote it, and he put it on there. So I don't see it happening that this thing is going to get finished. So what we have here are the rough layouts, a couple of inks, a little bit of dialogue and some color. Yeah. But it's not a very dialogue-heavy story. So pretty much what we're showing here. I
was going to say, but you do you have the script on you? Like what you were going to have in specific parts? Because what I have here is, as opposed to doing it where it's set and it's automatically going page to page, I thought I can manually change the page. That way you can kind of talk about each one. If you had any dialogue on the page, we can kind of...
Okay, yeah, I've got it all here. Okay. So whatever you guys... I've got like the little bit of narration here. I got some of the dialogue here. I've got everything here. So
all right. Well, let's go.
Any questions you guys have?
Let's go ahead then and start at the beginning. You have here on the first page: a battle in the night sky roars through the plains of Eternia. A grueling game of cat and mouse. The inspiration behind it, where you kind of just like automatically, I want it to, on the ground running. I want to just have this in motion already. There doesn't need to be any build up to anything. It's just that we're going with that. So
yeah, we're off to the races. It kind of playing up because this is really about focusing on the feud that Clamp Champ and Ninjor have kind of are insinuated to have in the toy line and things like that. Just kind of play up that. No He-Man. It's just like a separate adventure. This world's too vast to just think everything revolves around just He-Man's or Adam's call to action kind of thing. So it's just like we're in the middle of a chase where Ninjor has stolen the Book of Magic, which is a reference to Daimar the Demon, and we just know he's trying to get obviously to Skeletor. Don't even bring up Skeletor in this, but you live it to your own imagination if you want to. But he's stolen it. He's trying to get away from Clamp Champ and the Royal Guard, and it's just if you can picture the music in Diamond Red Disappearance when Teela's chasing after Trapjaw, that's kind of what I had playing. But it's just like just a long battle of just trying to take down Ninjor in the sky. And just play up just how cunning like Ninjor can be, even on air when he's not using his weapons or being a ninja, so to speak.
Okay, and Joe, I know Joe said he was going to be quiet, but feel free to hop in, please, at any point. I went ahead.
Oh, no, I will at times. I mean, I'm sitting there just staring at the picture, and when as Tyler's doing it, I'm just having my imagination going, like I can feel it. He's talking about the music, and I just get, into the stuff, especially when it's something I've never seen. But I will comment at times, definitely, yes.
And I went ahead and flipped to page 2, so we have here already Ninjor's got like these smoke bombs. Or what to me seem like smoke bombs or sort of like explosives. It's kind of hard to tell since it's not like colored in, but you're to assume that it's either like a smoke explosive kind of thing that's taken out the rest of the Royal Guard and Clamp Champ's kind of left. Did you have any sort of blurbs or dialogue or anything on this page?
Yeah, I did. It was, Ninjor would yell back and say, when will you realize, Clamp Champ, a ninja always avoids capture. And, just as he's following him, like Clamp Champ, they avoid the smoke bombs, and Clamp's like, time to bring this guy down, or as I have written, time to ground this thief, and fires a blast from the jet sled and hits the back with something we've seen in the Filmation cartoon, and causes Ninjor to just pretty much plummet towards Grayskull, which is where it just happens. It's not he was trying to get to Grayskull, but just happens to land.
Is this the only time they show it? I mean, is that the only time Grayskull is shown? Because I know in a lot of the comics, I like that. I like that there's always that one little image, and that's pretty much saying all. But okay, right.
Yeah, and it's pretty much crashes right there in front of Grayskull. And Joe, you ought to know, or I guess recognize what comes up next. Is that when when Ninjor lands, he sees there's a well outside of Grayskull. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
So he looks around and sees it and says that drinking well supposedly leads to the caverns underneath Grayskull. I will escape down there and force the heroes into my domain, the Shadows, which is what I called this mini comic Game of Shadows, like Clamchamp versus Ninjor, the Game of Shadows. Okay. We even had a layout for the cover too, which had Clamchamp and Ninjor running at each other, and then with a beast, which we'll get to a little later on, is kind of between the two of them. There's, if people listening can kind of envision that too. But,
and also like that it doesn't have to, like you said, all the time, be so dialogue heavy. Of course, that works for certain comics and stories, but sometimes just the pictures, the actions just say it all. But so you said there was not tons of dialogue, just little bits, pieces here and there.
No, and that's it, because from here on out, there's reason why. Like, I don't just have it because I just forgot to write stuff. Like, I wrote it like this because the purpose is once Ninjor goes down, Clamchamp, which are we still on page 2 there, bud?
Well, I went ahead and jumped to the next one here, where Clamchamp's sort of like giving direction to the Royal Guard, and they're kind of in what looks to be like a little bit of murky water up to about their thigh.
Yeah, it was pretty much to send one of the guys back to get He-Man because they realized Ninja's going down someplace that we're probably going to need some help. So go back, get He-Man, and we'll go after him. So then they follow him down into down the well, and it leads to a big splash panel, which is a throwback to the Caverns of Fear comic, that when He-Man comes down and you see pterodactyls flying around and stuff, like, I want it to be connected to that. Like, we're revisiting this same idea that these caverns just go all underneath Grayskull, like, which they've kind of touched on in various canons, but that's what this is to kind of connect with Caverns of Fear, that we're back down in here and playing up. And I think in that same page where we're seeing, or maybe it's the following page, Carson threw in a small version of Zuba Rex.
I was, damn it, I was letting you go the whole time. I was sitting there looking, I was like, Tyler, I think he just put Zuba Rex, because I recognized the spike, the tail, the everything. I was like, did he do that? Because, oh shit, in the pond, god damn it, I got excited. I'm here. See what happens when I get Holy. Oh, fuck, did I lose you guys?
No,
I think I'm still here.
You're still here, Joe.
Where am I?
I don't know what Joe just did. Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Fantastic, Joe.
You have to do this when I'm having my discussion here, Joe.
I don't know, like, he barely just touches anything and knocks it over.
Yeah, everything's really hung up by Scotch tape and twine and string.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and go to the next page that we have here, where essentially Ninjor is starting to hide in the shadows and start taking shots. And this is, as Tyler said, we start to get into where the art looks a little bit different, and now Joe's... there we go.
I apologize. I got giddy when I was talking, but what happened was it fell. I played it on my tablet, and the screen shrunk. So I hit the button to maximize it, and instead of maximizing it, it went to some app. I was like, "What the hell is this app?" Sorry about that, guys.
No,
but yeah, for back,
you're good. Can you mildly adjust your tablet without breaking anything?
Okay, hold up.
Now I gotta adjust Tyler's camera again. So thanks, Joe.
Sorry. There. I think I think I adjusted it.
Okay.
Apologize, hey guys. It wouldn't be a podcast if every month or something Joe didn't have some crazy shit happen. So I'm entitled to that. But I know we're on the next page, but I just want to go back to the page before I fucked everything up, to say it's what you were saying, Tyler. I like how actions speak louder than words, so you don't have to have them talk all the time. But especially for that scene when they're down there at the first time, and you see how Ninjor is peering down on Clamchamp. I like that. Like it's how you said, a game of cat and mouse at the beginning, but it's like it continues. Mm-hmm. And having dialogue wouldn't have made sense. It wouldn't have fit the atmosphere anyway. So I see what you're talking about. It's perfect.
And I have a line of dialogue here that continues on that too. Is that when they get down there, Clamp thinks to himself, "I pray that my keen senses don't fail me in this maze of gloom and darkness." So this is to kind of play up and establish for people a little bit more cohesively that he can hear and sense things a lot more than most people, which plays into the fact that his nemesis is a ninja who thrives on being quiet and stealth. And so in this place that he's not as familiar with, it really kind of gives you a chance to like, okay, how good is he? Is it sensing and hearing things from a distance and things like that too. So the guards spread out, and Ninjor's lurking around, from up on various, because there's like I got like bridges and all kinds of stuff in these caves here, just for him to kind of have fun. It's like his own personal playground, I guess you could say.
Are you one of the guards that's being like covered or mouth? Okay.
No. It's I think Carson had a couple of people. This was before we offered a face in this comic for as a prize for one of our Jeopardies. I think that was intended to be for the following, which unfortunately I don't think it's going to happen there too. So.
Oh, okay. Because Zen Brown was in the chat room, and Zen Brown said, "Oh man, I'm not going to be able to appear in the comic." Then.
Yeah, which my thought was like, well, I guess we can still work him into this one, and then Carson was like, "Oh, I've already got it set up," and but the purpose was to try and work him into this one here, and I'm sure we probably could have worked it in had it come to fruition. So it was intended, Zen Brown, to put you in this one. That was my intention. You would have been one of the guards in this story. I'm not sure which one, but I kind of was inspired by Rambo 3 when Rambo's in the cave taking out the Russians one by one, like the maiming sequences that they would have in the Rambo films. Like I wanted Ninjor to kind of play up the part of Rambo and just taking out the Royal Guards here one by one, and in a way that was not going to be like excessively brutal. Because I don't need to see
getting an arrow through my leg would be pretty painful.
Yeah, and I made sure like to have it come through the back of your leg, like in your hamstring, that you ain't going anywhere. And so to have Clamp Champ like, here's this, and just immediately grabs him by the mouth to shut him up, to keep him quiet, and then yanks the arrow out, which is going to hurt like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, I just actually switched to that page where he yanks it out and he's holding there, and then we have the other guard kind of sort of walking around looking very paranoid and scared.
Yeah, and he looks down and sees a long snake shadow in the water. I'm like, we can't have a He-Man story without some sort of monster. I would just think of Conan fighting giant snakes and various other creatures and things like that. So I got to get something like that in here. And to have Ninjor come in behind the waterfall and just slash the guard in the back, like not kill him.
I like that image.
Yeah,
I like that image. That's pretty cool.
I just thought like, all you would see is just a shadow. Like there's a shadow in the waterfall, and then boom, the guy's gone. Yeah. Falls in the water. And you immediately think, okay, that snake's probably going to get the guy. So Clamp just got to hurry up and get over there. And then just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything here in terms of dot.
Yeah, I got it right there. The slash to the back. You see Clamp Champ running. He kind of digs out, and then bam, all of a sudden, there it is. There's the giant snake, which I like that shot a lot of him just kind of looking up at the giant snake. Yeah,
and we're just immediately like, all right, it's just another fight to survive during all this, and I was like, had to have like the snake have like it's more like kind of a dragon snake. It was intended to be a big snake. Like that was what I was going for.
Was there any inspiration on that snakish dragon or no?
No, that was Carson's design. It was just I knew it was going to be like a snake. The tongue needed to extend to wrap around Clamp Champ's neck. He kind of came up with his own version of which I'm like, you know what? I bought it because Eternity's got a wide variety of creatures, and who's to say it couldn't look like that?
Oh, sure.
But so in fighting the giant snake, Ninja was like, all right, I'm going to go and take him out. Like, I was trying to think if I had any. Oh yeah, because in the when Clamp pulls the guard out of the water, he says, it sounds like it's coming from underneath the water somewhere, and then boom, it comes out. So there is, and there was another piece of dialogue I missed there too. It's not important, but I'm just trying to make sure I don't leave out anything particular. But Ninjor is above watching all this and looks down and says, "A shame it had to end this way, Clamp Champ," and then fires an arrow, and then the senses hears it, and it wasn't deliberate. It just kind of worked out this way, but to have him pull the snake forward to catch the arrow into the head, much like how He-Man destroys the Beast Monster by smashing the sword out of his head. It wasn't intended, but I'm like, holy hell! Like I just kind of duplicated kind of the same
And I was going to ask, because I couldn't tell, like, in the top panel with that snake, when he uses his clamp, I was like, did he just clamp it, or did it decapitate? Because
no, I couldn't tell. He grabbed a hold of him to kind of pull him in to catch the arrow going through his head. And to kind of set up, like, okay, now the snake is dead, and Cinder's like, holy shit, I can't believe he did that.
Okay. I like that part, too, where he, like, we see him get out of the water, and he's standing there, and then you see him kind of, like, looking up, and here comes a sword right at him, and he has to dodge that. So it's just... I like the pacing that you set from the start, but I like how it's just bam, 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 bam. Like, there's no... Like, you don't get a break from it. When I think of this, I sort of think about fight scenes from, like, the Raid or Raid 2, which if no one has watched those movies, especially Raid 2, please go watch that. It's really great. But I like how relentless action can be sometimes when it's done well, and I really like what you've done here, because it's a game of cat and mouse, and the fact that Ninjor is thinking that it's going to be easy, and now that's changed, and now it's like ultimately you're just building to them, like, finally facing head on. It's a good touch. I like what you did here.
Thank you. And that was the intention, is to kind of get it down just these two guys here, build up to this, and Clamship knows he's around and just pretty much calls him out. I can't remember the little bit of dialogue I had. Let's see if I can't find it real quick.
Well, you got a spot on this one page where right before they're getting ready to fight, it looks like Clampchamp's like yelling. Is he yelling anything right there?
Yeah, he's yelling. I'm trying to remember if I had something. Oh, yeah, come out and face me, Ninja. That's what I have written for him. And then after that, it's pretty much just like dodges around and then just catches Clamchamp off guard. And I really just wanted to play up just how effective Ninjor is as a ninja. Just come in and just take him right off his feet immediately. Like, even though Clamp's got incredible senses, like, Ninjor can still get in there and knock him on his ass. Sure. And then immediately get rid of the weapons. So when he's getting ready to, take the sword down, he pulls the clamp up. He jumps out of the grip of the pinchers and then slices them. So that makes the clamp's weapon ineffective. And then when he stabs down to get Clamchamp, he misses and then Clamp breaks the sword immediately. So takes the katana out. So the bow and arrow has been.
No, I was going to say I like what you have here on this page, because it's like you see the Clamp going up, and then there's a boot kick, and he put it even on here, right, a little bit of the blood where he's just kind of wiping
I like that.
from his lip.
Yeah, it's almost like wiping it, like, okay, now it's time. I always like that kind of scene, because it's going to lead to, here we go, it's going to get even more intense. Which, that's what I love about everything I've seen so far, is I get that Clash of Arms vibe, where they're just nonstop ass-kicking and fighting, and just... But it's all being told, just like you said, with everything here and not words. But yeah, I like that part, because you can just tell Clamp is pissed, like, okay, like almost like he can respect it and piss, like, okay, got a little blood. Now I'm gonna get you. So, but go ahead.
And it makes sense. Like, it adds a level of intensity. It makes it personal. It's like these guys have fought each other, but probably almost like they're building up to this one big fight. Mm-hmm. Or you could even say that they fought each other, not that they know what's coming. Like, he expects the clamp, to come out, the power pinches to come out. He expects the katana blade to be used. So you just kind of like, they're anticipating each other's moves almost. And I just thought it would be really good to make sure all the weapons get used and then take them out, because I want it to be nothing but hand-to-hand combat in this. But like, if you were to get the toy, you would at least see what they're used for. Clamchamp uses it to grab the hold of the snake. Ninjor's using the bow and arrow and the katana blade and everything. And I'm hoping I'm doing this because I'm pulling these images. I don't have them in direct order. Like, when I got the image, I saved them as they came in. So
yeah,
they're kind of like scatterbrained
and I hope here that I did this in the correct order, because I know you said that you thought that you may have sent them to us in the wrong order. So the next page that we have here is where it's more fisticuffs. Ninjor kind of like hits him in the back of the head, and now he's kind of like got him by his neck, and he's in behind him, and then Clamchamp kind of throws him over his head.
Yeah. Shoot, man, God, I hate this people. I guess next is like, or I guess what I'm looking at is when he steps on the katana sword to break it.
Oh yeah.
And then they kind of exchange.
Yeah. I already had that page up, and then I went ahead and went to the next one, because you're already talking about the snapping of the katana.
Yeah. So the next, I threw in the Ninja Star. I believe that's the. I want to say I thought I was missing here.
Yeah,
a panel here, people.
No, I think it's the one you got here where it's more fisticuffs, and then like Ninjor is behind Clamp Champ, and he's almost like choking him. Clamp Champ throws him, which would lead us to our next page. Like after he throws him, Ninjor comes out and throws some ninja stars.
Yes,
they're fighting, and we actually do have some dialogue here. Look at you. Why would any warrior call you Clamp Champ? And he goes to like chop down on him. Which you can talk about that a little bit, and I'll leave this image up for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's always great in a big action film. Like the villain thinks he's got the one up on the hero. He's broken and wants to mock him a little bit. And I didn't know if it would be self-explanatory in this story. I remember sending this in either to one of Joe's podcasts or Roast Google, and I got ignored. So I'm like, damn it, I'm going to push this in somehow. And I can't remember which podcast it was, but I always thought like Clamp Champ, like the name should be like an extension of what he can do. Like not just the power pincers, but like the guy's strength. Like he's so strong. If he were to like get a hold on you, you're not getting out of it. Like he's the champ of clamps. Like it's, you would call it sleeper hold, choke hold, or any kind of arm lock or whatever. If he gets it on you, only he could break out of it. Like I just feel like
it's like Chris Masters in the Master Lock. Yeah.
Oh my God, jeez. Please, that remark is stricken from the record here, people. So, but I remember sending that into one of those podcasts, and I think they just didn't know what I was talking about, or like, yeah, sure, kid, whatever. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Anyway, moving on here. I can't remember if that was one of Joe's podcasts, like that comic podcast where they used to discuss origins, or Roast Google. I can't remember which one it was.
I'll be honest. I don't think at the time when we did the comic cast, I don't think we had a spot to where they send in questions. And if so, I wouldn't have known where the questions were being sent. So I don't.
Maybe it was Roast Google, and Val just said, "Look at this moron here. Thinks he got something interesting to say. Pfft, whatever. We got to talk to Scott Ehrlich here."
Anyway, Ninjor misses down. Clamp Champ says, "This is why," and then puts him in the sleeper hold.
And locks it around his neck and yells out, "I am Clamp Champ." Because did he
cut his hair after that? Because just to let you know, that was Beefcake's move for Nathan. Just had to do it. He always loved the beef.
Yeah, came out strutting and cutting there with his power. He had like a small pair of power pincers and just.
All right, Beefcake sucks. 2, I was watching a Twitch channel where this guy is showing like mid 95 WCW. And it was horrible. Like I remember it being bad, but we had the Dungeon of Doom and all that horse shit. And then like, and then Beefcake, like it turns out he's the guy that's been attacking Hogan, and that was the main event for Starrcade '95. You kidding me? Are you kidding me?
We won't delve into that because Nathan's gonna lose his shit. But I do like that how you put a sleeper hold, because that's rarely something you ever see in a Masters Universe comic. Now, like I said, because I'm trying to follow this along right with you, because when you sent all the pictures, just to let you know, I didn't want to look because I wanted to be excited for right now. Mm-hmm. Did he kill Ninja or just put him to sleep?
Just pretty much puts him out, like knocks him out essentially. Like it's, but if you want to interpret it like that, it was. If someone was coming along and reading it, they could probably look into it and think, did he just die? Like, is he dead?
Well, and then when you flip to the next page, you kind of get a better idea of what, or the last page, you get a better idea of what happened. So,
I can ask real quick because I love it, because I brought this vehicle up to so many people and like, what the fuck are you talking about? When I always mention the gyro attacker, and I see that you put it, I was like, what made you do that? I think that's cool as shit, because I bring that up all the time. Be like, what the fuck is this vehicle?
Well, those people who don't know what it is, they're your bullshit casual fans who think He-Man's squinty face and absurdly shaped body in the He-Man Origins line is fucking awesome. I just felt like this would have come out in '87. The gyro attacker was hinted at. We've seen the box art for it. I would have liked to have seen that they would have worked this new vehicle into the mini comic to imply that, hey, this vehicle's coming here, people. You see it in we'd see it in so many comics of a character we have yet to get yet. shows up in the mini comic. Oh, I got to get that. What is that? Obviously, there's no room to throw in Rotor. And plus, I just wanted to use Lizard Man. Lizard Man was.
I was gonna say that I noticed Lizard Man right there.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And I like how He-Man shows up, which is cool because just like with Clash of Arms, like the story's basically with Fisto and all the evil warriors, and at the end, He-Man comes to save the day. But I like that in this one, He-Man didn't have to come to save the day. So I'm very curious on what the dialogue was here. That he shows up, but he wasn't needed.
Yeah. Let's see here. It was real fast. Oh yes, as He-Man gets there and Lizard Man's attending to the wounded royal guards, He-Man says, "I'm truly sorry we arrived too late, my friend, but you truly earned your place with the heroic warriors this day." Because Clam Champ and Ninjor deserve their own mini comic, so to kind of play up establishing them as prominent characters, and then kind of moving forward, you could even say Search for Skeletor would have been next if you wanted to, and Clan Champ, hands on the book and says, "Thank you, He-Man. It's a true honor coming from you." And then it closes into Ninjor's broken sword. He-Man asks, "What became of Ninjor?" And as the action goes on, you see Ninjor pick up the broken katana, and Clan Champ just says, "I have no doubt he will return."
All right.
So deliberately not killing him, but just knowing that I beat you this time, and he's going to come back at some point. Maybe have Spikor, reassemble the katana blade, But
a question for you. This is again, it's all hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Now, like you said with Karsten, he hasn't been able to get back to this. You're not sure if he would. Now, is it feasible in any reality that maybe another artist could draw this? Possibly.
I love it. I would love it. I know I've talked to Kevin about it, but as we all know, Kevin's busy out the ass with his own personal project there. I love for anybody. It's Kevin would have been my number one. Obviously, Axel's. This is I don't have the money to pay. This was essentially like a project to put out and for people to purchase copies of. So it would have to be from somebody that would, someone that I approve of art was like, I wouldn't want to give it to somebody who just draws like little chibi bullshit. Like I take my He-Man artwork serious and I don't settle for anything. If I don't like it, I don't like it. So I'm very picky about my He-Man art. Like, am I open to it? Yeah, because I would like to see it drawn and come to fruition, and they could probably add even more to it. Like I love to see Kevin see what he could do with it. Obviously, Axel knows how to draw Ninjor and Clam Champ phenomenal. I had him do Ninjor for me a few times. But yeah, I'd be open to it because I just don't see it happening. I really don't, for reasons unknown. I feel like if it's gone this long, it ain't happening, and I don't know why. But I just kind of thought like it really bothered me that I never got to share this. I mean, and I'm glad you guys allowed me to share it because I just kind of felt like, well, I was so proud of this story. I liked how I really just was like, it really came out looking really, really good, even with the layouts. And it really bothered me. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to share this with anybody because I kind of feel like, what's the purpose? And I was like, you know what? Why not? Why not share it? Get you guys, get your all's thoughts on it. And listeners, I hope they enjoyed it for people who are fans of Clamp Champ and Ninjor or just characters that are just not as talked about as much. That's something we like to push a lot more, is put more focus on characters that don't get much attention because God knows that's what we do best on here is putting focus on people who damn near just they deserve it and would kind of pique their interest about Clamp Champ and Ninjor and make them get the figures if they don't have them, or open up and say, there's more to He-Man than just the Alcala stuff, people, or there's more to it than just Ram Man, Stratos, and Beastman and Merman. There's a lot of like unbelievably, not as established characters, but you know what? You just put the right person in there, and you can have a field day and make them just as prominent as a Beastman or a Man at Arms. Where I'm like, you know what? When you think He-Man and his cast of characters, you think Clamp Champ, you think Ninjor. It just depends on how you write them.
Yeah, it's like you said before, even though there's not much out about these characters, it's just enough that you can take it, and if you know enough about that world, you can put them in scenarios where it makes sense. Like, it's...
Yeah, I mean, because there really isn't. Because I know you guys have covered some of the magazine stuff, and I don't know if Clamp Champ or I think didn't you guys cover the one with the Skeletor and the T-Rexes on Eternia? Yeah, because Clamp Champ's in that, and I know he was in some of the UK stuff as well, but
it doesn't really. In most cases, it doesn't really give those characters time to shine. It's just kind of like they're there. No. It doesn't, as you said before, with this book, you want it to show like, hey, like let me show you. This is what the weapons that they're packaged with. This is what they're capable of. This is what they can do. They don't just show up and have a conversation with He-Man really quick, and then you don't see him again. So yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times when Ninjor is shown, he's just kind of a background character. He's not really occasionally, like in the Star Comic issue number 9 that all these guys are featured in, but it just it's not enough. People still are pretty neglectful of Ninjor and Clamp Champ. They don't see Ninjor as like, why is there a ninja in He-Man? I don't get it. I'm a casual asshole.
I mean, I think that's what you gotta have ninjas.
I don't understand why people have said that.
Maybe
about
it's
Ninjor.
Just in our DNA because we were all kids in the '80s, but the ninja craze was kind of at its peak. I felt in that, especially with like B movies and stuff that you catch on TV.
It was, but I just to me it was like, and I actually wasn't aware of Ninjor until like the mid '90s when I saw an ad for the last 2 waves of He-Man figures for $20 a piece. And I saw Ninjor, and I actually thought like he was a samurai character. I didn't know even though it says Ninjor, but I thought like, well, that's got to be a heroic character, like a samurai warrior or something like that. And to see it was an actual ninja, like, holy shit, man! Like that's awesome. That's phenomenal. And I'm like, I want to, just like want to know more about that. And I know how they give you he come from another dimension, which is kind of cool. That he wasn't just down the street, and his name is Gary, from the House of Asshole. Studied under the tutelage of the ancient wisdom of Nightlick.
That's the second dig so far in the podcast.
Well, look at those piece of shit bios, and then all these people have got real names.
Yeah,
from the house of dipshit.
Well, it's like it was like in middle school finding that everybody passed it around once the internet became a thing. It's like, do you know what Rick Steiner's real name is? I'm like, I mean, I don't really care that it's what his real name is actually like
Scott Rex Steiner or something.
Yeah,
Rex
it's like
Steiner.
Rex Steiner. So I'm like, I don't care. Did you know that his name's not really Hulk Hogan? I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of figured. Like, you don't have to. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I feel like G.I. Joe's the only toy line where I feel like, okay, these guys operate with code names.
Yeah, that makes
the
sense.
The guys for Cobra, I don't need to know what Tomax and Zamont's last name is or what Cobra Commander's real name.
Steve.
Like, I know. Yeah, it's just or Gunther or Tucker. Destro's real name is Tucker.
And he and Cobra Commander looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who got disfigured. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
Hopefully those UK comics. I mean, I know that they did have some stories with Ninjor, Scareglow, and it's stuff that a lot of people have never seen. I'll admit the one thing I wasn't a fan of, which, don't get me wrong, I love that they extended and kept things going. It's stuff that if we had here, sure we would have ate it up. But I think they had the most, they had the most annoying Scareglow to me because they actually took like kind of in concept and reality his gimmick of, okay, put him in the light, turn off the lights, and when it's in the dark he glows. But his gimmick in the comic was in the lights you didn't see him, but when the dark happened, boom, he glowed. It's like, oh shit, now you can see me. But I was like, oh god, I hated that. I just did not enjoy that.
Yeah, I've seen that too. It's I know like a lot of the stuff overseas had a lot of different interpretations. Like they would color characters, like Webster would be pink. Cobra Khan would have Trapjaw's arm or something, like just all kinds of weird
stuff.
Some
shit was cool though. There was some good shit. There really was, but some was questionable. Definitely questionable. But Tyler, like I said, I wanted this episode to be highlighted all on your mini comic. just like how last week did for Homecoming. I was like, I want to focus on one thing, let people share and enjoy this, and that's why I didn't want to know anything until this happened, just so I could experience it like I was reading the mini comic for the first time. And I want to thank you for doing that. And I'd hope that somehow, someday, whether it's through how, like some people were saying, a GoFundMe, a Patreon, whatever, maybe there's a way that it can be funded to have this happen. And like you said, it's not for profit, because we know legally shit can't have profit. It would just go to cover the cost for the artist to be drawing it up, boom, and then get it onto the people who, supported it. I don't know how all the legal shit is on that, but if that's an avenue or something that could be taken to have this happen, it would be great. So you never know. I guess anything could happen in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we didn't run into any of that stuff with the Leech comic, and I guess that's one of the things about having a very under-the-radar podcast. Like, Mattel's not aware of us. They don't listen to us. They don't watch us.
That we know of.
Yeah, because I think, well,
Yeah, you never know.
And they probably think if there's anybody at Mattel that works on him and listens to us, they probably dismiss us as just a bunch of bitchy fanboys. That, the cliche that goes out to anybody. There's a podcast on any kind of popular property, whether it's Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Star Wars, Transformers, whatever the case may be. If we're grown men on a podcast talking about it, we're a bunch of babies. Like Shredder says, babies. That's all we are. Buy our shit. Shut up already. But it's just one of the perks about it that we have to worry about. But we made sure we put like unofficial on there, kind of like what James did with his first book. You don't make it like it's an official. Yeah. You just clearly make this is bullshit. But if you like it, great. So, but at this point, it would be more about like getting the artist paid, because that's the Leech one I didn't make any money from. Whatever money we got went towards Carson, and we did so many free books as well, so it just covered the cost of printing it and all that stuff and shipping it out. And some people didn't get their books. I had a few people who contacted me about the Leech book that never got it, and I don't know what happened there. But if people, if like all the subscribers we got, if there's like a good number of people, I mean, yeah, personally, I'd like to have Kevin do it, but whether he's got the time, probably not. But it'd be nice to know if people would like to see it drawn and colored or something like that. I know there's some good colorists out there. I would love to make it work, but I got to know people would want it done. I don't want to wait and talk through Messenger or email with somebody, and then it just never comes to fruition, and no one really cared or wanted it anyway. But it was just a labor of love. I did it for fun. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the Leech book, and I had some really good ideas too, like the Blade story and the Gwildor story. I had some pretty good ideas of like building up to the live action film that would have kind of filled in gaps if you wanted them. Not that the gaps need to be filled, but like if you want to kind of see when Blade says, "I waited a long time for this," I wanted to tell that story. Or when Gwildor says, "She tricked me. She was beautiful." I wanted to tell that story of how Evelyn befriended Gwildor and stole the Cosmic Key, and leads us up to.
Well, think of that. I mean, in the future too, just like when James was on the episodes a few times, and where he talked about some of his fan stories that he wrote down. You have to save those for the future. We'll do these on some, upcoming episodes. You can sit there and tell us those stories. I'd love to hear them. Yeah,
I guess I never really thought about that, because as much as I play up being an egomaniac on here, I'm pretty humble about this stuff. Though I don't really like. After I wrote this, I didn't tell Joe, "Hey, you got to read my stuff." I didn't tell Nathan, "You got to read it." I was just kind of like I wrote it, gave it to Carson, and this is what we got. So it was just kind of like just sitting on it. And people asked me about it. I said, I'm hoping it's going to happen. We got a teaser image, which I think Nathan has shared on the YouTube page. Like, I think when we did like the second printing of the Leech comics, we put the teaser image of Clamchamp versus Ninjor. So, but yeah, I would love to do that. And I guess now that I got kind of an outlet maybe to do that, I guess it would be kind of fun. But it just sucks though, because I just kind of feel like it's just it's like
well, hell, it's like spitballing like we do when we spitball our ideas back and forth, and we, you and I will come up with a story on the fly out of nowhere, but it's fun, it's engaging, and it gets the fans engaged as well. But I think it would work. Just like I said, we'll do that maybe next month sometime. You pick one of the stories, just shoot with it. We'll spitball back and forth, talk about it, but I think it'd make for a great episode.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm thinking too much into it, because I often worry like the stuff that we come off with is, in which you guys see it better than I do. And we've gotten a lot of good feedback consistently over the last several episodes. So it's good to hear people's thoughts on everything. And I just, I guess I've just always been really sensitive about like if people don't really respond to it, because I see people respond to some of the absolute dumbest shit about He-Man. I mean, from someone just check out my custom here. I gave the Snake Man legs to King Hiss here. If someone give me $300, PM me like this kind of cheap shit, and people like 200 likes for this is, and they get so much comments and remarks, and I sent you a message. I must have this work of art here.
Yeah, but
and then you post something like, "Hey, we found this old artifact about this prototype character." Fuck that, man. I'm taking a picture with my King Hiss and my Dasani bottle here.
Hey, now you're taking Joe's ideas. You can't be doing that.
But that's my point. Is that Joe will do that to piss me off, because he knows people just couldn't wait to respond to King Hiss with snake legs next to Dasani, or in his case, vitamin water. Joe, genius work, man! Like, and then they come up with like the dumbest jokes and remarks, and it just makes me want to pull my hair out.
I'll say one that got me, which the person who did this, he wasn't trying to like sell as a custom. And like I said, give him all the credit in the world. It was a cool picture. He took, I think, a NECA, maybe it was NECA, Jules head from, Samuel Jackson from Pulp Fiction, and put it on He-Man, or a Clamp Champ body with the armor.
I saw that. That was dumb.
What's crazy, it went insane. I was like, there was just tons of people sharing everywhere. They said, this is the greatest custom ever. And I was like, he just took a head and put it on that body, and he wasn't selling it as a custom. He was just making a fun meme, but some people thought it was a brand new figure, a great custom. I was like, oh, cool. And like I said, I wasn't knocking the guy that did it. It was cool, but I don't even think he expected that response. He was just doing a funny picture of Samuel Jackson as He-Man, and the internet exploded.
People in the chat are like, he broke King Hiss. Tyler, calm down, man. Not King Hiss.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now for the chat room, real quick.
Well, obviously, I'm sure all that was just nothing but a bunch of memes like, yes, he deserved to die in the hole of the burn in hell, motherfucker. Just nothing like just constantly bombarding with Samuel L. Jackson quotes. Yes, we get it. He says motherfucker all the time. He-Man, motherfucker. Oh, it's funny, man, and my nuts are tickled. Yes, I broke King Hiss, and it's not broken, people.
Oh yeah, they're not being serious about it.
Okay, all right.
Well, I was gonna say for the chat room, you guys can shoot us any questions you want from the comic, mini comics, anything else, anything you want. But as you're doing that, and before you do that, there's some sad news. 2 days ago, there's a member of the Masters of the Universe community. His name's Rene Chavez. He passed away 2 days ago from COVID-19. He was recovering, I guess. He was doing well. He got out of ICU, and then unfortunately some setback, and he passed away. And he's known throughout the community. He's just a great guy. I did Counsel the First One's podcast when they first started doing that. I did that with him, and he was nothing but nice. Never had bad things to say. Was really just great with everybody, cool with everybody. Everybody that's seen him at PowerCons, like I said, I never was there in person, but I've never heard anybody speak ill of the man, and it's just a sad day, and to his family and everything. I just wanted to give them well wishes and prayers and everything. And below, I believe Nathan put the link, but there's a link for a GoFundMe to help with the funeral expenses. But you hate seeing and hearing something like that. And Jesus, I think he was only 45 years old too.
And I don't want to get too soapboxy with this, because I know a lot of people have varying opinions in this country about the disease, about wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, whatever. I'm sorry if it bothers people that much that they can't be troubled for 5 to 30 minutes while they're in a crowded store to wear a mask. But if everybody did it, and that's like blocking that enough, who knows? You might be saving somebody. So I don't know. I like I said, I don't want to get too far into it, because then I'll start to kind of get mad. But you guys just take care of yourselves. If you wear a mask, great. If you don't, maybe reconsider. Wash your hands. Just be considerate of other people, maybe, while you're in a store. Keep your distance. I don't know. Like, it's a real thing. And, like, it's no more evident than what Joe just said. Like, it's taken a member of this community, and not only a member of the community, but someone that was a part of another podcast. So you never know. So you guys need to just be safe, be smart, think, be considerate. But and yeah, Joe, there is the link down there for the GoFundMe for the funeral expenses and whatnot.
Yeah. So, but yeah, again, prayers to his family.
And all those on the council, the first ones. Like I hate it for all you guys who've lost a member, a very prominent member of your podcast, and I'm sorry to all of you all and to Renee's friends and family if they, listen to any of this stuff. I mean, I my sincerest apologies to all you guys and people who are friends with his in the community. Whether I know James and I'm sure Danielle and Val, all those guys. They probably were pretty good pals with him as well. So everybody that took a punch in the stomach at his loss, my condolences go out to every one of you all, because it's not good to see stuff like that. And like Nathan said, man, there are people out there who just think it's just made up stuff. And yeah, the news does embellish a lot of stuff, but it ain't made up. That part ain't made up.
Yeah, and until there's a vaccine, the only thing we have to protect ourselves is just what they're trying to tell people. Wear a mask, stay at home as much as you can, keep a distance if you can, like just personal hygiene, just be safe. Just be safe. I don't know.
It's like, crazy. I always say, it's like you can't, no, it is. It's like I always say, don't take anything or anyone for granted. Sometimes you might have, argument with a family member you haven't talked to in years, and something crazy could happen. You hate thinking of any regrets. If there's anybody you haven't talked to in a while, just reach out to them. It just makes you think about life. It's like, God, it could just out of nowhere, and so young. It's so sad.
And that's the dangerous thing about this virus. You said and that he was starting to feel better, and then it just came back, and just you never know. You really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know how we can segue too much from there, but I will. I'll read some of the comments on last week's episode. Andrew Kramer commented and said, the Grayskull Con edition was originally meant to be in color, but I ran out of time and wasn't able to finish the colors. And I know that, Joe, you got a message from Emiliano saying thanks that we shared the work last week on the show.
Yeah, he enjoyed it. Emiliano really did enjoy it. I mean, he said it was touching, for us to discuss something that he did, 22 years ago, I believe. I think he said 22 years ago, and he was surprised that, it just meant something to. But that's what, like I said, the same thing with Tyler's. Like, it just shows the love and passion of fans. So he, reached out to me, and I told him, I said, hey, love to have you on the show, and. So next month sometime, we will have Emiliano on, and he'll maybe discuss more about Homecoming, if there's any questions we had and things that we're making comments on. So he'll be on, and we can have some fun. So it'll be the first time Emiliano will be on our podcast, and that'll be probably the middle or end of July we'll have him on. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That was really cool to hear that because I was probably just under the impression he didn't listen to our podcast, so I assume people probably told him about it or something like that. Because I have no idea. Because I guess it's surprising who listens to this podcast. Like, it was surprising that Val will listen to it, or Danielle. I don't know if James listens to it. I have no idea. Even though he's on it.
That would be funny.
Yeah,
he's always on, but he hates the fucking show. It's like, I don't even listen to when I'm on the episode.
Yeah, either. I have no idea. That's why it's always surprising to hear from anybody. Sure. Whether just a casual fan or someone who's a prominent name in the community or whatever. It was just always interesting to hear who listens to our little little engine that could podcast. It's always interesting. So it was really cool to hear that Emiliano really enjoyed what we had to say. Because I really don't know if anybody had really discussed Homecoming. I know it's been brought up. People refer to it in forums and stuff, but I don't think it.
Wait a second. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but Penny.
But you did.
She's like, Penny Dreadful's here, and she said, "Of course I listened to it." So she's been here ghosting us the whole time.
Well, I know. I said that. That's why it was just, it was just. No,
but then she talked. That's what's weird, because she wasn't there the whole entire episode, and you mentioned that, and then bam, she peeped in to have to say something. That's fucking.
Well, and that was a shock when she reached out to us. God, how many years ago it was? Because I think I had like a good conversation with her. I'm like, holy hell, here I'm talking to Danielle. Like, it was just. But it's been pretty cool, because I've talked to her and Val like on the phone. A couple of times, it was just like, here I am talking to such prominent members like on the phone, and not just for like a 10-minute phone call, like long phone conversation. It was just like, this is pretty badass. Just all from
but now she's trolling us. She's trolling us in the chat room right now. So how about that?
We mean to get her back on the podcast for a while anyway. We got to get her back
we'll
on
to
here.
Do that at some point. Descendants of Grayskull had a couple of comments. Old Tyler, you mentioned castlegrayskull.org, a site I love so much. Please confirm if you ever clicked on the sound section where the site had its own intro song. What was unique about it was a double transformation of She-Ra and He-Man with the Filmation He-Man theme song, which included Laser Blast. I used to play that over and over and over again. I would be happy if someone else remembers the clip.
Don't remember that. But it was I remember it had like, there were sounds you could use. They had like icons you could download for your desktop of like, they had like Whiplash, Cringer, a lot of Filmation faces you could put on for like, Internet Explorer or Microsoft Word or something like that. Various other things. I think I used to go there a lot for some interesting fan fiction back when I was like picky about it, but there were certain ones I didn't mind reading back then. I remember there's one I read that was about Rotar and Clamchamp, and that's what drove me in, because there was a story that featured them in the story. And I thought that was kind of interesting as well. But that was always one of my go-to websites for just kind of like looking for stuff about He-Man, because back then, it's just whatever you could find, and I was like Dave Chappelle's crack addict character, with the like chapped lips and scratching my neck. You got any more He-Man? Just looking for any kind of information, it was just desperate for it. And back then, I used to go to castlegrayskull.org a lot, along with He-Man.org, religiously. I check it every day, just look at pictures of stuff, because back then I didn't have everything that I got, so you were just desperate to look at anything, even if it's just pictures of the toys.
Descendants of Grayskull also added, whether people like to admit it or not, Filmation gave He-Man and She-Ra the lifespan it had with the toys. We haven't had an impact in cartoons since. NYP is fantastic, but it wasn't marketed well, and the era of gaming was taking over. The PS2 Masters game should have been worldwide because it didn't go down well in the UK. I think Americans might have enjoyed it more and could have led to more gaming with Masters. I feel they missed out a future by avoiding that part of the market.
Well, Mattel seems to like kind of give more to overseas a lot too, where they continue the line overseas. The merchandising was going further, whereas here in the States they just said kill it.
And that's what I was really upset about, is because, me, I was still into gaming at that time, and I was really looking forward to it, even if it would have ended up being kind of shitty, because some people said they didn't enjoy it that much. But you know what? To have Masters in video game form and to really be taking control, whereas, you're playing the shitty Atari game, because even for its time, I hated that game. I hated it even for its time, because like I said, that's what graphics were like back then, but still, shitty game. And then, of course, the Game Boy Advance one, I was like, quirky controls, I could play it. But the PlayStation, I was like, oh, God, this is going to be fantastic. And we didn't get it. And then I've seen people playing this on YouTube. I was like, it still would have been fun as hell, and it sucks that we didn't get that. That really was a missed opportunity. Because think about this. There was people that played video games that still didn't know about the cartoon, the MYP cartoon, maybe didn't know about the figures, but hell, just playing that game, like, He-Man, I haven't fucking seen him in years. It could have got some fans back around, so missed up.
I don't.
There's nothing, and it'd be good to, and I have to ask Nathan about that too, because there was just so many missed opportunities with that entire property, the 2000X property itself, from the toys, the cartoon, the merchandise, everything. It was just like, who the hell was making the decisions with all that stuff? Because it's just, I remember seeing like the banners at Walmart in the toy aisle to kind of like, hey, this is where the He-Man toys are. Like, you remember those, Nathan?
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that they didn't make like a Nintendo game back in the day. Like, yeah, I know we're kind of catching the tail end, but it still kind of had that small window to overlap each other, or maybe even the movie, the movie coming out in 87, they could have put out a game that was like for the movie, you know, like anything.
Oh, they did. They did put out a movie based.
I'm saying for Nintendo. They didn't put it out on Nintendo.
Oh, for Nintendo,
They put it out on
it would have been great because we got a lot of the
shit. And, like, no one gave a shit about Coleco and Atari. It was all about Nintendo at that point. Or the Sega Master
computer games too.
Yeah. Well,
and the Sega Master System never got on that either,
thing,
and it sucked.
How many? No, hardly anybody had because computers were so expensive at that time. Not many people could afford to have one. They didn't become like affordable until like the mid 90s when Windows 95 came out. So
in between a lot of those mediums, there was quite a few computer games that were released. That's like, damn, why did they get all this shit? Nintendo and Sega didn't get nothing. It would have been great to play He-Man on either of those systems.
Exactly.
So, all right, I'll pass it back to you, Nathan, if you had more comments. If not, I'd try to see what was happening with the chat.
Tyler, go ahead and finish your thought about like the banners and stuff that you were talking about, like in the.
Oh no, it just felt like when they're putting stuff like that, that sounds like, you know, they're putting their best foot forward by like putting big advertisements in Walmart. You know, the Master of the Universal banner right here, get your toys here, and God, I mean, I'm not going to go down that same story of like, yes, the case ratio, more shitty variants that nobody gives a shit about, and where's the secondary characters? Well, it doesn't matter. Don't you want He-Man and Skeletor? Right. Which I remember hearing in the Powers of the Grayskull documentary, they make a point of saying that one of the reasons it wasn't doing well towards the end was that they weren't putting out enough He-Man and Skeletor, which I just thought, like,
what's enough? 80? I mean, my God, how many different He-Man and Skeletors do we need? We had a ton of them. That's all they were doing. It wasn't because there was not enough. It's because there was too much. I
mean, for the vintage line. The vintage line is what they were saying.
I thought you were talking about NYP. I was like,
NYP. That's why it kind of made me think like, well, I guess there couldn't be a connection, because I find it hard to believe anybody who worked on the original He-Man toy line was still at Mattel when the 2000X line was brought back. And as we all know, any of us that had action figures and prominently in the 90s, and give me one line, I don't care how obscure it is, that did not suffer from variant overload. I mean, you think of Batman the Animated Series, you think of any Marvel, DC toy line of every goofy out the ass version of Spider-Man playing soccer, or Batman is
they really said that about the vintage? They didn't think there was enough He-Man Skeletor for even vintage? Because those, like you said, I think we still had enough, but hell, I was always welcoming and wanting new characters.
Me too.
I don't want more. Yeah.
Well, plus they played it smart by giving us one variant each year. I mean, not each year, but from the third year on, we got one variant, and we would have gotten Laser Light and Laser Power had the line continued. So
I think pretty much it could be safe to say. Think about this, Tyler. I think it's safe to say that all the Masters of the Universe fans that were collecting those toys, they were already there. It's like, did they think there was this magical group of millions of people that didn't exist, that didn't know of He-Man when it was the hottest thing back in its day? They didn't know it, but they're like, hey, if we make another He-Man and Skeletor, that'll bring them aboard. It's like, what are you talking about? We're already there and established. We just want more and more new characters. And what a fucking asinine logic to say something like that.
Yeah. If you guys go back and watch that documentary, there's a part where I think it's Paul Cleveland said that they shortchanged a lot of retail outlets on certain like I think He-Man and Skeletor, like they didn't ship out enough Grayskulls or enough He-Mans and Skeletors, like, and maybe, you know, with a lot of documentaries they leave out a lot of info that needed to be added to these statements. Like, I'm sure if we dug a little deeper with Paul Cleveland or any of the guys that were working on the line at the time, we could probably get more concrete answers. They may be very in-depth business-oriented stuff, but it would kind of alleviate questions of like, all right, how is it by 87, they say in 86, the line took a major drop? And I think, as we all know, interest just naturally dropped from playing Nintendo. Other toy lines were coming up, Transformers, Thundercats was main on the scene, G.I. Joe's out there, and then you got, I mean, even from there on out, I'm not going to get specific with the years, but you got Visionaries, you got Bravestar, Bionic 6, Rock Lords, with that toy that Nathan loves or talks about, but I never saw Air Raiders,
Sky Commandos or whatever.
Sky Commander, yeah. I just think of that and Turtles comes out in 87, I believe. So it's just, Transformers lost steam, and G.I. Joe did too eventually. Yeah. So it's just it's the circle of life in the toy industry. It just, but that's why I feel like I just find it hard to believe that kids weren't getting He-Man and Skeletor or Castle Grayskull, and I can't get it. Well, I'm moving on to something else. Yeah. I don't know. That's why I feel like there's something missing when they talk about the death of the line in that doc. I love that documentary. It's a very good documentary. It needs to be a lot. It's longer than I thought it would be, because most documentaries are like an hour and a half and they leave out all kinds of shit. But it's definitely something that is not making fun of it like this piece of shit documentary. The toys that made us, doop doop doop, bong. Guys, people just who think pot humor and fart humor is like, it's.
You sound like Pee Wee Herman laughing just now.
Yeah, it was just
the other thing in terms of and variants, I think the thing that always bothered me with like Marvel and DC is seeing this stupid shit with like the Superman motorcycle. I'm like, why the fuck would Superman need a motorcycle? That just doesn't make sense. He can fly.
Yeah, I mean, I sympathize with like,
unless he's like Clark Kent, just like on a bike, just because he wants to be on one. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, no, if you're gonna, and that's why I felt like the Superpowers toy line, which they had like an assortment of vehicles, but they have Superman sitting in the Justice Jogger, like.
Why?
For like a vehicle that would probably work on like other planets. Yeah. Put Batman or Wonder Woman or anybody but Superman would a Green Lantern. Like, I feel like they get all these heroes and you got to put Superman on the box to market it as if like kids wouldn't buy it because Batman's sitting in the Justice Jogger as opposed to Superman. Like, yeah, people's idea.
Maybe
of, like,
the
what
people
kids
that are like
buy.
working on those toy lines just had no idea like what the characters did. They're just like, yeah, whatever.
Which just scares the shit out of me. That people who were, I would not want to be working on any of these toys if I did not know them backwards and forwards. Right. Like I would not want to be responsible for doing packaging artwork, at least in charge, and just putting a hero on a villain's vehicle or something like that. You just kind of feel like, come on, kids are not dumb, and I hate how when they say kids are dumb, like kids will dumb, buy a lot of stuff. Kids are
basketball
dumb,
right? Bascaraf. I hate this.
Look at this shit. It's people don't know what we're talking about. We're spoofing off the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle commercial is what it's called, where the guy was making fun of. If
it's still on YouTube, I don't know if there's audio for it anymore, because it used to if you switch the source to like 240p, and now it's just like totally gone. Hey kids, look at this shit.
Yeah. Joe's like, I'm hungry. Can we move on here? I just when Joe, you can just see when like Joe's like mask is kind of low, and he's like, God, I want a meatball sub because his mind just kind of wandered off.
It's all those vitamins.
Sorry, Joe.
Those vitamins that he's consumed in his vitamin water. It's drained him.
It's all gone now. Meatball sub, good God! I wish I could afford that.
What?
I said a meatball sub. I wish I could afford that.
I wish you could afford it. Good grief. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just stuff like that always bothers me about the fall of the toy line, and it's as the people point fingers as to why it failed, but I feel like the whole 2000X thing in itself too is just probably too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. Oh well, not only that, and then you could think about like Cartoon Network and the clusterfuck that was with the scheduling. Like it's what it goes to. It's like if you want the line to succeed, and there was another comment that was made, and I saw this a lot in the groups, because once those Origin figures became available on Walmart's website and people were buying them, it's like everyone was like, where can I get them? And there's people overseas that are like, well, do you think there'll be any distribution over here? And I is that a question that's even been answered as of yet? Like, are people in the UK, like, are they just going to have to import from here, or is that something that's been said that Mattel's going to try to widely distribute?
Well, I mean, I know they mentioned retail. I mean, they're going to hit retail, but I didn't know if they mentioned, worldwide retail. I'll be honest, I don't know what stores, are like in all these other countries, but I'm assuming that, it would maybe hit other stores. I don't think they would just keep it just in the United States. I'm assuming like here, Canada, hopefully Germany, Italy. I'll be honest, I don't know, but since it's
I will say,
retail.
if anybody overseas, if you got those shitty Max Steel figures that Mattel seems to like, just say, hey, let's do that again. That no one gives a rat's ass about. If you guys got those, you'll probably get the He-Man Origins line with the goofy looking He-Man. So yeah, if you really want that goofy ass looking He-Man, you go in your shop with the squinty eyes and the kind of like the scoliosis, upper body there. You'll have it. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Someone had posted. I remember what it was like a compare. It's like pictures of a Menacard He-Man, and it just looked terrible. The figure looked, and I'm not being cynical or trying to be silly. It looked bad. It just doesn't look good at all. It looks disproportionate. It looks cheap. And it looked like a finished figure. It didn't look like a prototype bullshit or something like it. It looked like what people might be buying. Maybe they'll look better in person, but Joe, do you? And I know I talked to Nathan about this briefly. I think after you left. Do you intend to buy all those when they come out? Like, are you adamant that?
No, I'll be honest. I am looking forward to them. There's some that I look at that, yes, I am disappointed in just looking at. For me specifically, it is Skeletor. I do not understand the open mouth idea, why they thought that was good, because just like I said, if they could have had it as opposable jaw, as we've seen with some of the other figures, it'd make more sense. But with this open mouth shocked look, and as of late, I'll say another thing which has shocked me. I've seen at least 8 people posting pictures of close-ups of Skeletor's face. It's not being mean. I'm not being disrespectful. The paint job on the eyes and teeth are abysmal. It looked like a 3-year-old was just drawing lines sporadically over his fucking teeth to make teeth marks. I was like, why did you do this? You'd figure the 2 characters, if they want to talk about He-Man and Skeletor, like you said, for every fucking line being important, they should be the best looking. Not saying that means the others should look like shit, because you want the whole line looking great, but the 2 main headline characters of good and evil better look fucking perfect and great. And when they're already off to the faces on those 2 characters, it's gonna piss a lot of people off, just like how you said. It's understandable. So I am looking forward to the line. I am going to be collecting, but I pray in the future, if they're going to do or He-Man and Skeletors, as they always love to talk about, please make a good-looking sculpted face for He-Man and do something about Skeletor. Make a posable jaw and do good paint. I'll send you pictures, Tyler, and I don't know if anybody in the chat room has seen what I've talked about, but that Skeletor head is abysmal.
Well,
it's so fucking disappointing.
Hey, you guys want to talk about the rattlesnake ring and the Stone Cold and the Hogan?
And Hogan, brother!
Oh my
the Hogan looks bad. The ring is gimmicky.
At least the ring looks cool. They put a lot more to it with the snakes. Yeah. I was like, they did more than Grayskull's ring, surprisingly.
But they look cheap. They don't look. They look like just colored plastic. They don't look like. And well, obviously, it's a cheap idea to slap 2 things together that they have the rights to try and put it out there. It just doesn't look like much thought was put into it. Like, they're not being very creative.
I'll tell you what, though, at least, no, you're right. The Stone Cold is underwhelming with these, snakes that he has as attachments, because he looks kind of bland. Hogan,
I guess he's just too bionic redneck to just do anything else with the body other than just slap the 2 terror claw snakes on his arms. Well, that's it.
Because, I admit, though, for Hogan, the Hogan was cool. Like the yellow design, like the H. It's like they used the flying fist look to make the H for it cool. In the ring, I see there's a lot more into it with at least 4 snakes in the corner. I was like, cool. And plus, I always look at the price. Those things aren't a lot. When they do the ring, I think they do it at $29 for that with 2 figures. They sometimes
you want $30 for that piece of shit ring? Like
no.
And 2 figures come.
2 figures
so
come with it. Like with the Castle Grayskull ring, I bought that by itself. It was $20. I understand the price point, and I think. Honestly, the only appeal to this in the Origins line, the main appeal would be for the customization. You can pop the heads off. You can put other heads on. Like, I get that. And
they're just selling. If anything, they are selling. It's an affordable price. At least it's showing that there's promise to it, that fans want it, that it's not a pile of shit that's just sitting there going on clearance after 3 months at every store. I can't say it because otherwise I'd have to talk about something, so I can't say what I want to say. But they're not going on clearance like some other line did at another chain where it was only 1 chain and They didn't sell out any. These are fucking selling out all the time. And these Origins, when they're popping up on Walmart's site, they're selling out. It's promised to the future. Hopefully it could lead to better things, because you're right. You don't want them to look too cheap. Obviously you don't. But it's a hell of, like I said, at least affordable price, because $14.99 compared to, I go to stores and I see these little fucking things this big of other figures. $19 I'm like, why the fuck are they going to, charge something $19 for a figure that's 2 or 3 inches? Yeah. And I see so many other lines that are more expensive. So you can't beat the price, and I just would hope it would lead, like I said, to better things in the future.
If it leads to anything, just bring the classics back. I know there was a debate. I think, Joe, did you post that? It was like, do you prefer classics or vintage? And honestly, I think I'm going to throw my hat into the classics line. Like, I like vintage. I appreciate it, but with classics, you got everybody that was in vintage, and not only that, you got a bunch of characters that you never got in vintage. And it's a pretty vast line, even though it was very exclusive, and the way that you had to obtain them was kind of not ideal. And the prices that they are now on eBay definitely suck ass. But yeah, I'll throw my.
Somebody answered Tyler's question. Tyler wondered if or where somebody was wondering if they'd be international, or not Tyler's question, when somebody else mentioned. Carlos did say in the chat room that I guess Amazon UK is taking pre-orders for Origins, so I don't know if that would be
at least you can pre-order them. You don't have to wait for them to pop up on Walmart and go out of stock in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you guys are going to do this, and Mattel, if you're listening, just, I don't know, make it pre-order available. I know you got this deal with Walmart or whatever, but tell them, like, hey, you can buy all 5, make them, like, buy 6. Here's the price. Pre-order. Done. Like, that way people don't have to worry about it. I'm
at that point, like, it's fun to have a reason to go down the toilet, even though it's pretty much just the constant depression. But I'm pretty much, like, done with, hoping to God, like, I got to drive 20 minutes to check just to find out, well, they don't have any. They got some shitty, Roman Reigns figure filling the hole where the He-Man figure should be or something like that. I find it so much more satisfying, like, that I pre-ordered the G.I. Joe classified figures, and I don't have to worry about running out in the store, hoping to God I find Destro.
Oh, speaking of which...
Like, no, I ain't got to worry about that.
Speaking of which, I told you last week that my Destro was set to arrive this past Wednesday. Amazon was like, well, we've got to change the date on you, but I do have everybody else. And I saw the pictures for Wave 2, so that's kind of awesome. That Destro is kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Kind of weird looking.
Well, except for the shitty Pimp Daddy, which must have been from some goofy custom that somebody did on a G.I. Joe website. Oh, this is funny. We'll turn him into a figure. Like, great, right. Yes. Pimp Daddy Destro. What the hell?
Joe, what do you got from the chat room?
I was going to say, for some reason, my chat has went all out of order. I see one from Adam Gabbert saying, Tyler, Joe, Nathan, do you own one, or are you planning on getting a custom face mask that is Masters related? No, what? I'm not.
The face coverings, like when you go to the store and stuff. If we had any intentions on getting like Masters related ones.
Yeah, I've actually I got a Cobra logo one. And I got the Thundercats from Exodus on face mask, and there's a Fred Carrillo Skeletor I found on Redbubble. There's a couple of Fred Carrillos I found on Redbubble because I'm when the students come back to campus, like they're making everybody wear masks. So I'm like, I need about 5 masks for the 5 days a week. So I'm gonna get me some more. So there's a Fred Carrillo Skeletor on a black face mask I'm gonna get with a couple of other face masks. So yeah, I've been looking at that too, and that G.I. Joe logo one's gotten so much attention. I've gotten attention from, almost any store to hospitals I go into. People, oh man, G.I. Joe, oh, I love your mask, dude. Like, it's pretty cool wearing something that's a little bit unique and not just a surgical mask or something that's got, I don't know.
Yeah, I see customs everywhere of those masks. Adam has an Eternia one. No, I'm not getting any. I just have a plain black mask. Joe
just walks out with his current face.
Yeah, I was going to say, Joe, it gives you the perfect excuse to just go out just wearing that,
This would work great. No, I wear black, just nothing but black. It's always just black mask, and then I have a hood. Well, when it was called the hood, but so I'm not going to sound like a lunatic. I go into the bank and they always say, "Would you take off the mask? Would you take off your hood and your cap?" Because I always look like I'm going to rob the place, and I wear black gloves.
So you wear black gloves.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm not touching anything, so I'm going to show you.
I get you. No, when you're saying black gloves, I don't know why I'm thinking of like driving gloves. Like you're part of the mob, which you are anyway.
No,
he's a hitman coming in there to take out one of the bank tellers.
No, I know people had, like we talked about earlier, I know people had opinions on it, but I kind of love it because with the mask and if the sun's out, I got my aviators on. I'm usually wearing a hat, and I go into. People don't know who I am. Like, even if I've seen people that I know, and they don't recognize me. This is great. I don't have to sit here and have small talk. I don't have to talk to anybody. It's awesome. Like, who wouldn't love that? You can just go anywhere incognito, essentially.
Sure. I mean, any other bank I would go to, I'm going to make sure that I have myself to where you can see it, but they know me there, but I guess it would look uncomfortable, but I thought that's how it was supposed to be in most of these banks and other places that you had to wear them. So I come in looking like, I mean, could you imagine back in the old days, you look like you're going to rob the place, but yeah, so it's all black I wear, but yeah, I don't have one of those, but that is cool that you have one, Adam, and that you have some, Tyler, and getting some, so that is cool. Grim said, "Do I ever get mistaken for a terrorist?" No, I have not. So that's pretty good. See, the thing
question.
There we go.
Grim 2 had one. Have you guys seen when Marvel incorporated Spider-Mobile into the Spider-Man comic book, only to get it trashed in the story?
I've got that in the other room in there, just because I love the Jackal so much. But I remember that, and as a kid, I was kind of intrigued by it, but also thought, like, what the hell does Spider-Man need a car for anyway? Even Jim Shooter and anybody who was aware of it or where they worked on it, like, realized it was a shitty idea.
Yeah, I still can't understand.
Nathan, I was gonna say I would have to pass to you unless it's the end, because the whole chat is so out of order. I don't know if there's any other questions, but it's pretty almost wrap up time anyways.
That's it? That's all the questions? Man, that sucks.
Well,
there's a lot of comments about what we were saying, lots of conversation, but I just didn't know it was half the stuff we were talking about, they were comments, so there's a lot of conversation.
And that's the beauty of getting the comments that we've been getting on the videos, too. It leads us into all these other different discussions. One thing I did want to say, Spider-Rat wanted to say thanks for the shout-out to his daughter last week on her birthday, which I thought was funny, so I replied, "Feel like our show for her is equivalent to my dad renting R-rated movies for us to watch back in the day. Hope the cursing isn't too much for you." As to which Spider-Rat's response is not any worse than she hears with her mother and her family, so I guess a slight burn towards them. So.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I heard she screamed when she heard her name being said, so that's pretty cool. So, but all right. Well, there was, like I said, there was a lot of activity in the chat room. We do appreciate it, and hope you enjoyed this episode. So, for anybody that's new to this channel, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so you can always be notified when we go live. And until next time, have a powerful day.
The poison only works when the components are mixed. Hairspray won't do it alone, but hairspray mixed with lipstick and perfume would be toxic and untraceable.
Batman!
Yeah, I was going to say Batman.
I knew one! If I didn't know that, Jesus Christ, that would have been bad.
Hey,
of course,
that's a whole other topic of conversation. Maybe we can talk about next week with Michael Keaton supposedly coming back into the DC universe fold for a shitty Flash movie. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you can spare some money, make sure you click on the GoFundMe down below in the description.